Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 727 to 729 for the 20th to 22nd of February. Yesterday I wanted to do the SITREP, but no, I need to rush out, so I didn't manage to do. When I come back, it's a bit too late. I have published a report about the Russian forces reorganization. Basically, the 5 armies that five groups of forces that the Russians have deployed into Ukraine has been reorganized. Their responsibility have changed. So do check out that video. That one, it really talks a lot, and you can also speculate yourself what is to come based on these kind of changes. And so another Sukhoi 34 was shot down over Ukraine. This is the, I think, eight aircraft over the past week that the Ukraine have shot down over Ukraine. And however, on the Russian side, in the latest report, they have reported that they have taken out a Patriot System. So according to the Russian report, they say that they have managed to wipe out a self-propelled launcher, a transport and loader vehicles of the Patriot SAM system. So which means that there is a high chance that all this shoot down is due to the deployment of the Patriot system somewhere, probably, let me use another color, somewhere in this area here. So, somewhere around this area here, in the Zaporizhzhia to the Donetsk Front, or maybe, most likely towards the Donetsk Front, maybe not so far up. Yeah, there is some kind of Patriot system that is being deployed somewhere, and it's now being discovered and destroyed. I'm not sure if there is more launchers. We'll be able to tell if there is more Russian aircraft getting shot down. So, but yeah, it does give us an answer is to know why the Russians are losing so many aircrafts. Because it's unusual, because it's not known for the Ukrainians to have any more major surface-to-air missile systems, and the Patriots are almost never deployed in the frontline regions. They usually deployed it very much to the rear, particularly around Kiev, to protect Kiev. So anyway, that's all for this part. And we move on into the strategy and tactical reporting. So we in the southern front, this is the Kherson Front. This is the Kherson Front. At the Kherson Front, there is rumors of Krinky getting captured by the Russian forces. This is actually posted on the Russian Defense Ministry's report. However, it is unusual because the revelation is that they are doing sweeping or mopping up operations. However, that means that the fighting is still ongoing, and the Ukrainian forces are still actively trying to see see if they can reinforce and resupply the troops. Then there is Russian forces sharing footage of them putting a flag at this position, and there was another geolocation of Russian forces engaging in rifle battles over there. But however, that's only show that the Russians around here, they are around here. There is no clear indications that the Russians have entirely captured the entire village or cleared it of Ukrainian forces. Based on the reports coming out from the sources, even Ryber have mentioned that there is still fighting in this area here. The Russian troops are still trying to clear Krinky from the remaining pockets of resistance. But based on the latest Ukrainian report, they still say that the Russian forces is trying to dislodge their units and tried to attack the position 2 times. So we definitely still have not really seen the very end because the Ukrainian side have not considered the loss of Krinky just yet. So we'll definitely have to continue to monitor this. However, the Russians are starting to look across the river. They are bombarding Ivanivka as well as Mykolaiivka. In terms of Ivanivka, we do have geolocation of a drone attack on Ukrainian positions on the vehicles. And we zoom further out, there is a MiG-29 getting shot down over Belozerka. So this MiG-29 probably was trying to do some missile launch, I guess, because they don't usually use the MiG-29 for air support roles. So this got shot down over Belozerka. And there is also a geolocation of air defense system getting hit by missile strike over near the Chernobyivka air base. Somewhere near, it's over here. So we will continue to monitor the situation over in the southern front, in the Kherson Front, and yeah, that's all for the Kherson Front. We move on to the Zaporizhzhia Front. So this is Zaporizhzhia city, and this is the Zaporizhzhia Front. Only until here. There's three sectors. There's Kayamsky sector, the Orikhiv sector, and the Huyai-Pole sector. This is the Huyai-Pole sector, and there is fighting reported in the Kayamsky as well as the Orikhiv sector, as well as Huyai-Pole a little bit. Over in the Kayamsky sector, the Russian forces are attacking in the area of Lukove as well as towards Shebaki. So this is being reported. However, there is a geolocation of Ukrainian forces along this tree line, so there is some clarification of the front line in favor of the Ukrainians. However, these are probably just probing attacks, and these reports are pretty new. This is the latest on the last 24 hours. This one is the earlier. So you can see that the Russians attack on the 21st and then 22nd, they attack here. So the idea is just to keep the Ukrainians guessing where the main offensive is going to come, and also to probe to see where the weak point is. And over at the Orikhiv sector, this is the Orikhiv sector. Major frontline changes happens over here, but in essence, the Russians are attacking towards Orikhiv. They are attacking in the northeastern part of Kupani. Fighting continues in Robotine, fighting in the west of Verbove, at Verbove, northwest of Verbove, towards Mala Tomashka, at Luhivsky. So if you look at this, it's a major offensive action across the entire front over at this Orikhiv sector. And if we zoom into the Robotine Verbove region, this advances is based on Russian mapping. The pro-Russian source Ryba basically mapped that the Russians have taken the southern part of Robotine. They have taken part of taken this, and they extended and continue to expand their control over in the southeastern part of Robotine, and even reach the road and the major entrenchments in the western part of Verbove, and also taken a huge chunk in the northwestern part of Verbove. So this is a major advancement if Ryba's reporting is accurate. The Ukrainian mapping have not acknowledged most of this. The only one that Deep State UA has acknowledged is over here. This is the only one that the Deep State UA has acknowledged. And the only geolocation that we can confirm is over here. This actually confirms some change in terms of the front line in the yesterday. So most of these major changes, actually all these big changes comes in the past 24 hours. The news just came out over the past 24 hours. Yesterday there wasn't this much change. So yeah, so this is the frontline change. The Ukrainians are counterattacking over Robotine region, but this is about all of the counterattack by the Ukrainians. The Russians are on a heavy offensive, and it looks like within the next few days we might see the Russians take Robotine and the entire northern part, this entire entrenchment, that the part of the Surovikin line will be taken. The another thing is that given the speed of the advance, if the Russian claims are correct, the Ukrainian forces definitely in this area is routed. So if they are routed, then we might see trouble for the Ukrainians to re-establish a second line of defense if they do not have reinforcement coming in to help them to hold the line, because forces that are routed have no will to fight. They will need some time to rest or have some encouragement by having more men to accompany them in the new defensive line. So but given the speed of the advance, I think the Russians are doing something very akin to we see at the Battle of Avdiivka, where the lines have broken. Suddenly there's this flood of Russian soldiers just taking positions after positions. I think this is something that we might be witnessing over this Robotine region. And so we will continue to monitor and see how this progress over at the Orikhiv sector of the Zaporizhzhia Front. And of course, it's always important to note of these probing attacks across these lines. These three attacks is all reported on the 20th. So definitely it's just one off, but definitely it puts pressure on the Ukrainians in terms of reinforcement, because they might be sending forces down. Suddenly the Russians attack in all these different sectors, which means that the Ukrainians have to be redeployed to pay attention to all these new attacks. And these definitely have hampered the reinforcement to the frontline regions. So that's all for this area. We move into the Huaypole sector. Over the Huaypole sector, there was only one attack being reported. The Russian Defense Ministry reported the Ukrainians attack towards Novozlatopil. So this is the only one that we see over this area here. And this one is kind of weird because based on the Russian reports, the way how they wrote is that they repelled a counter-attack near Novozlatopil, which means that there is a Russian attack somewhere around here because they call it a counter-attack. So it's interesting to see them say that. We will continue to see how these progress. And that's all for the Zaporizhzhia Front. And we move on to the Donetsk Front. So this is Donetsk City, and this is the Donetsk Front. And at the Donetsk Front, we have a lot of fighting being reported in this area here. There's Russian attack towards Staromayorsky in Novodonetsk, towards Zolotan south of Prashestivka, in the area of Volodymyrivka, over at Novomikhailivka, Boyeda, Georgievka, Krasnohorivka. Ukrainian forces attacked at Shevchenko. So this is the strategic situation over in the Donetsk Front, and you can see that the Russians are also conducting very, very major offensive operations in this area here. And so we'll go from sector to sector. So at the Velika Novosilka sector, so this is the Velika Novosilka this is the sector over here. The Russians are attacking Staromayorsky, and Russians are more positional in this area here. They use artillery to hit Ukrainian depots or ammunition dumps over at Uruzhaine. Another one happens over just off Novodarivka. So this is Novodarivka. Another one happens over here. Further in the rear, there was a Lancet attack on Ukrainian artillery position just off Zelenipo or Zelenipole. So these are the strikes that was geolocated. There's actually more, but I thought that I'm not putting everything because it's kind of pointless to put everything strategically. It's not that important. So over on the western part of Voleda region, so in this Voleda line region, there is the Russians attacking over at Novodonetsk. It was geolocated. There is some frontline change being registered over here. So the attack might be coming from the south against Ukrainian positions. So at Novodonetsk, the Russians are also pushing north towards Zolotan Neva. This is Zolotan Neva, and they are attacking in this way. So these are the ones. And then there's also reported attack at Prashestivka. The one at Zolotan Neva was reported 20 to 21st. The Novodonetsk is the latest. And then Prashestivka seen reports of attack on the 20th. So this is not a one-off all happening at the same time. It's a probing, sometimes here, sometimes there. So it's something to note. And the Ukrainian forces was reportedly attacking the north of Shevchenko. This was a continuation of the previous report. We will continue to monitor. There is a front line being geolocated over at this position. So this is a gray zone. So we will leave it as gray zone for now because it's a frontline geolocation. We move on. There is fighting report at Volodymyrivka. Nothing much to talk about. And over at this Marinka sector, the Russian forces are still attacking Novomikhailivka, but I believe this attack here is positional. The Russians are not storming the position. Maybe they are not ready for it. Instead, they make their focus at Boyeda or Bobeda. So at this area here, the Russian Defense Ministry has confirmed and acknowledged the capture of Bobeda in their latest report. And this capture is not acknowledged by the Ukrainian side just yet. However, geolocation of Russian raising the flag on the rather northwestern part of Bobeda or Bojeda basically put it to rest that the Russian did indeed capture the settlement. So the Russians have taken the settlement over here. Russians are still fighting in this area here, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. There is still fighting reported on the 21st of February in this area here, 2 days ago. And Russian forces are pushing at Avdiivka. So, and in the north of Marinka, there is a geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting bombarded by Russian artillery. But what is disturbing is that when the soldiers run, they look very female the way they run. Not sure if you can see, trip and fall. They're not armed. They didn't bring weapons, and the way they run, the way they swing their arms, is very female. So I believe that in this very position, where the Russians have bombarded the Ukrainian positions, just very close to the front line, these are actually manned by female soldiers. So that's actually very disturbing to me. So but it is what it is. This is war. And there is also a geolocation of Russians attacking Ukrainian ammo depot over at Krasnohorivka. So, yeah, so that's all for the situation at the Donetsk Front. Very intense offensive actions across the board. Mainly the focus is still over on the eastern part of the Donetsk Front. And we move on to the Avdiivka Front. So the Avdiivka offensive is still ongoing despite the capture of Avdiivka. The Russian forces are conducting offensive across multiple sectors. They are attacking at Stepove, towards Olivka, towards Lashtovskiny. They are attacking Zheveny. They are attacking towards Tonenki, in the area of Vodian, Pervomaiske, and Nevelsky. So basically, they are attacking across the entire front line. And there is major frontline changes in this area. Ukrainians are counter-attacking at Lashtovskiny and the western part of Avdiivka, as well as Badaichi. But it is dwarf as compared to what the Russians are doing. So this is the strategic picture. If we zoom in, they also attack at Pervomaiske. So let me and Pervomaiske. Yeah, so this is the corrected one. And over at this Avdiivka region, the Ukrainian forces are counter-attacking over the western part of Avdiivka. This is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, and for good reasons, because the Russians are attacking towards Zheveny in a flanking attack coming from the east, and they have entered into Zheveny. And Ukrainian forces are probably trying to stop this advance, but I don't think it's going to work out. And the Russians are already pushing for Lashtovskiny in this area here. Any Ukrainian forces in this area is in danger of being encircled. So this is actually not a good place to be, because you want to straighten the front line so that you can actually control the battle space better. And so there is already rumors about the loss of Zheveny to the Russians, but this is not corroborated just yet. I don't think this is confirmed yet. So we shall continue to monitor and see how this goes. This is reported by this mapping is by the Ukrainian side, so the Ukrainians acknowledge this change. The Russians are geolocated on the outskirts of Lashtovskiny, pushing the front line all the way to the edge of Lashtovskiny, and over on the western part of the coke plant. The Russian forces are attacking Olivka. They are heading towards it. The zone of control has been expanding over the past 2 days. And there is already geolocation of clashes over on this junction, on this area on the road to Olivka. The Russian forces, however, is still conducting a clearing operation at the coke plant. There is probably still some Ukrainian forces hiding or injured within the coke plant. The coke plant is a very huge facility. It's going to take some time for them to clear. And further up north, geolocation of M1150. Getting destroyed just off Stepove. The Russians are pushing over here. Ukrainians are pushing at Badaichi. So a lot of clashes around all these areas. And yeah, so this is the Avdiivka front. A very, very dynamic situation is being developing over in this area here. So we will continue to monitor and see how this progress in this area. And further in the rear, there was some missile attacks, but I don't think it's very important. And we move into the New York Front. Over at the New York Front, this is the New York City, and this Donetsk. Ukrainian forces are conducting offensive operations in this area here, with Ukrainians attacking towards Mayos in the area of Pivdene and New York. And the Russians are counterattacking over at Mayos region. So that's all we know of this area here. The fighting is still ongoing, and we shall see how this progresses. We move on into the Bakhmut Front. This is the Bakhmut city, and this is the Bakhmut Front. Over at the Bakhmut Front, in the southern flank of the Bakhmut Front, the Russians are continuing their usual. They are attacking towards Klishevka, towards Andriivka and Kudyomivka. So there's nothing changes around this area here. It's probably very positional in nature, given the lack of frontline changes report in this area. Further in the northern flank, the Russian forces are attacking in the area of Bodanivka. Ukrainian forces counterattack at Bodanivka region. The Russians are attacking Ivanivsky and in the northeastern part of Ivanivsky. And this has results in terms of the major frontline change over in the eastern and northeastern part of Ivanivsky, with the Russian forces entered into the first buildings at Ivanivsky already. And they have basically closed up and captured all of the northeastern part of Ivanivsky. So this mapping is coming from the Ukrainians, so this is most likely the correct one. This is the most accurate one, and we will definitely see within the next 24 to 48 hours the Russian forces attacking into the northern part of Ivanivsky after they close up the front line in that region. Because the Russians are already here, the Ukrainian forces will be distracted into holding the lines against this push, and which give the Russian forces the opportunity to attack into the north and hitting the rear, forcing a Ukrainian withdrawal into a new line towards the center of Ivanivsky. So that's the Battle of Ivanivsky has basically begun. And a lot of geolocation in these areas here, particularly is just to me, is the important thing is just that they are confirming Ukrainian positions in this area as well as the Russians over here. So no need to go through the details. It's pretty meaningless. Basically, Lancet attack, drone attacks, artillery shellings. Yeah, just copy and paste. Just roll the wheel. One of them must be correct. So that's all from the Bakhmut Front. We move into the Siversk Front. Over the Siversk Front, Russian forces are conducting new offensive actions at Rozhdolivka on the 21st to the 22nd, at Vimka on the 20th to 21st, and Bilohorivka is the usual. So they're attacking in these directions, and so this is the strategic situation around this area here. Some geolocation of artillery shelling Ukrainian forces just off Sperne, confirming the Ukrainians are still there. TOS-1A strike, the thermal barrack missile strike on the Ukrainian positions in the front lines of Bilohorivka. So it just shows the Ukrainians are still holding the lines in where we have mapped. But the perseverance of the attack over at Rozhdolivka is something to take note of. The Russian Defense Ministry reported on 2 days already that they are attacking Rozhdolivka. So if there is a major push in this direction, and if they continue to sustain this, it's going to break the line and head up into the rear. And if this is successful, although I have to acknowledge this is going to be difficult because it's all settlements around here, it's going to cause major logistical problems for the Ukrainians over on the eastern part of this front line. But anyway, it's not going to be easy, so let's not get too excited about it. We move into the Kreminna Front. This is this Kreminna city, and this is Kreminna Front. There is no battle over in the Serebryansky Forestry region. It went really quiet. I'm not sure why this is the case, and but however, the action is primarily around the Terny Yampolivka region. The Ukrainians are attacking towards Avdiivka, but it's just a one-day thing. It was on the 20th, and it did not happen after that. The Russians, however, is on a very constant offensive over towards Terny, and in the latest report, they also started to attack Yampolivka. Ukrainian forces are counter-attacking over at Terny because the Russian forces are making progress, and this progress is pretty important, pretty significant, because if we zoom in further, this entire valley and tree line has been taken by the Russian forces, and they're basically just talking about like less than a kilometers away from the settlement, which means the Russian forces will be able to continue to advance and start the Battle of Terny very, very soon. And they totally bypass the entire Ukrainian favorite forest. All these forests are very, very hard for any attackers to go through. Definitely Ukrainians have very good defensive position around here, and the Russian forces can basically bypass them and go into the rear and stranded them and encircle them. So the Ukrainian forces will have to decide, if the Russians started to enter the settlement, should they still continue to hold this line? Or should they actually go in to reinforce, or actually launch a major counteroffensive into the rear? So this is something that the Ukrainian forces will have to decide when it comes. And that's all from the Kreminna Front. We move into the Siversk Front. There's nothing over here, into the Kupyansk Front. So this is Kupyansk city, and this is the Kupyansk Front. At the Kupyansk Front, there is fighting being reported over at Sinkivka. This is the usual. Ukrainian forces are also counter-attacking over there. The Russians attack Petropavlivka as well as Tabaivka. The Tabaivka is only one day on the 21st. So the Petropavlivka is the latest on the 22nd. This is over the past 24 hours. The clash at Sinkivka is consistent, is always happening. And some geolocation is counter battery fighting over in the western part of Tabaivka, Sinkivka. There is use of the thermobaric missiles in the small town itself, but that's about it. There's nothing very, very significant in terms of the situation over at the Kupyansk Front. So that's it. There is something more. Over at the Kharkiv Front, there is several geolocation of Russian activities against Ukrainian positions. There is a attack on the mortar position. At Vasily, they destroyed the missile strike or artillery strike at a certain place. Then there is an MLRS attack over at Lipsy. So it's just continued harassment of the Ukrainian positions over the Kharkiv Front. Continue to put doubts on the Ukrainian side whether the Russians will actually launch an attack into the Kharkiv Front. So anyway, this is the summary for the day of 727 to the 729 for the 20th to 22nd of February. I have a new mic. Ta-da! Very cool. So I feel like more professional now. I'm not sure if the audio quality is better, so you guys can feedback and let me know. And I'm still sick. I'm not 100% recovered yet. So you can hear it from my voice. And that's it. Press the like button, subscribe. I'm not sure if I'm going to even post this part on YouTube. But if I do, press the like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next update.